Hello guys, welcome to the art vlog. If anyone jumps on me for saying guys because it's not gender neutral, just for the record, I picked this habit up from the student body of my extremely feminist all-girls high school. So, don't at me. This illustration is of my original characters from the book I'm writing. I'm gonna have to say that without embarrassment at some point, so there. It's an illustration of a scene that I've written, as in a scene that I've already typed in words, not one that just lives in my head. All you need to know is that these two characters at this point in the story are exes who broke up somewhat recently and are still in the same band, and they're having a conversation which is totally normal and polite and not at all awkward and problematically flirtatious. That's what's happening. As you can see, this sketch is extremely messy. This is just how I sketch. I think when I started this drawing, I knew I wanted to illustrate this scene, and I had like what they looked like and the emotional vibe of the picture very much in my head already. But beyond that, I didn't have much. Like I didn't do any thumbnail sketches or anything, so a lot of the sketching is just figuring stuff out right here. Hence why the sketch stage is so messy and went on for as long as it did. Not that it went on for that long, I think. I've done much worse, is what I'm trying to say. You should see me try and do a sketch when I have like no idea of what I want to draw and I'm just starting from then. Anyway, this scene, yes, okay, the one on the left is Sasha, the guy on the right is Killian, and I have drawn both of their heads much too big. This is a thing that I am aware of. Don't worry, I'll fix it later. I don't know why, but I tend to just always draw heads too big. And it's fine because I'm aware of it, and so at some point in the process, I'll be like, is the head too big? Yeah, the head's too big, and then I'll fix it. In a previous take of this recording, which I deleted and am now slightly regretting, I was talking about how Killian's head was too big, and then like right after I said that on the video, I resized it. And that was a perfectly coincidental moment that I'm not going to get back because that take's gone forever. But this will be better because it has to be. Anyway, enough of that. Back to talking about the drawing. Yes, you see me struggling to nail the facial expression. It's nice having like a quite clear idea of the mood and like facial expressions and emotions and vibe that you want to convey. Because even if you don't fully picture it in your head, you can just keep fiddling around until it looks right to you. And that's what I'm doing here. This drawing might be the one where I have most successfully drawn Sasha's hair ever. I think I described it in the draft as like some sort of like chin length, sort of bob, sort of mullet, shaggy thing that you'd expect to look shit, but doesn't on her. At least in Killian's opinion. That was from a chapter from his point of view. What can I talk about now? Oh, you can look at all of the options for Killian's jacket and just clothes generally that I try out. I don't think I think I looked at one. Okay, I think I looked at like two reference pictures for this. One of them was looking up what a guitar case looks like, just Googling like person wearing guitar case standing up, because I have a guitar, but I don't like travel around with it much, so I needed to Google it. And the other thing was I looked up a picture of the character JD from the West End production of the Heathers musical, because I like the jacket that he has, and I was considering giving Killian that specific jacket, but in the end I decided not to. Was that a boring tangent? Apologies if it was a boring tangent, but hey, at least you have something to watch if the audio is not to your taste. I'm gonna stop shooting myself in the foot while I am making this recording. I'm not gonna be like the kinds of comedians who are doing totally fine but have a crisis of confidence and then talk themselves into bombing on stage. I mean bombing in the sense of doing very badly and not getting laughs, by the way. Oh god, I just realized I should probably subtitle this, and this is going to be a rambly, messy as fuck piece. Oops, oh well. Anyway, back to the drawing. this drawing is atypical for me because it has a cool color palette. I know this is just like beige, but yeah, it'll become evident later. Yeah, it's a cool toned color palette because the vibe is exes having a difficult time. That sounds like it's couples therapy, but it's not. It's not nearly as healthy. I really like warm colors, but it would be inappropriate for this mood, hence the cool colors. Probably good. I should illustrate more like emo scenes, because then it'll train me to actually use cool colors. Do I have anything else to say? I'm not sure. I know this video is going to wrap up soon. And I think it's finishing up now. I my brain is frozen, and I'll be able to articulate things better once the recording stops. Oh yeah, I'm adding vampire fangs. In this scene, Sasha's a vampire, but Killian isn't. This has no bearing on the drawing whatsoever, except I guess I didn't draw him with fangs. But in the story, there's details about, you know, being able to hear heartbeats and stuff. I will link that extract in the description if any of you want to read it. And, you know, if you like it, keep an eye on the bookshelves in the next... Here's me being foolishly optimistic, hilariously optimistic. In the next 5 years, it'd be amazing if I could publish this in the next 5 years. Anyway, back to the art. I will conclude with like a couple notes about this piece. One note is, you saw that I just sketched and then neatened up the lines and then plonked some colors on. I quite enjoy doing it in that way for pieces like this, which are not like a shit sketch, but aren't super polished or anything, or it's somewhere in between. That was not clear. What am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is, when you start with a extremely messy sketch and then you want the lines to be somewhat neat, I feel like there seem to be two options. At least I haven't thought of another one. There's two options. The first is to create a new layer and do your neat lines on that one, and the second is to just chip away at the original sketch and neaten it up. The first one, like, you'd think would be easier. However, every single time that when I do it, it has maybe a 40 to 60% success rate. And by that, I mean a lot of the time when I've done a sketch and then I try and do the neater lines on a separate layer, it comes out looking terrible and stiff and losing like so much of the movement and charm and emotion and whatever that the sketch had. And also it's quite time consuming. So I don't do it much for pieces like this. I will do it if like I know from the start that, or at least, okay, I'll do the neat version, the lines on a new layer version, if I want the piece to look a certain neat way at the end. Because that's just the saner option, and you can get a much neater result more quickly, I think, if you do the lines on a new layer. But it's just more difficult and time consuming. So for pieces like this, which are like low stakes, I guess, I'm not going to bother. I draw stuff like this to make myself happy. And the line art on a new layer process, I'm a lot better at it than I used to be in my teens. I remember how painful that was. Now it's like, I can do it, but it's just less fun. Cleaning up the sketch is, I mean, it's kind of a bitch in its own way, because you have a really messy sketch and then you're just like, you know, erasing and redrawing the whole thing in bits and pieces. So that can be annoying for reasons that I imagine are obvious. But if not, all good. That wasn't meant to be sarcastic. Oh god, I've been talking for a while. I'm going to finish this before this timer runs to 10 minutes. I said that I had another thought, but I can't think of one. I'll come up with another thought about the art. I'm quite pleased with this piece. This is one of my favorite things that I've done recently. And I think that's because I had a quite specific vision, to sound like a wanker. I had a specific vision for this, a specific mood that I wanted to capture. And I think I did it. I did it to my satisfaction, and that is quite pleasing. I will go. Goodbye, and thank you for watching. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you think, please. I crave external validation. I'm like Tinkerbell. If you don't give me attention, I will die. I'm not like other creators. I'm not going to be like, um, you know, I'm not going to hold you emotionally hostage, etc. I fully am. All of this is a joke for legal reasons, etc. All right, I'm going to end this recording before I say something else I might regret that might land me in court if I one day become super mega famous and people try and dig up dirt about me. But, you know, God, what is this? Goodbye. Have a nice day, week, weekend life, etc. Oh, and subscribe if you like this stuff. Cheers. Like, share, subscribe, send to your exes, email to your mother-in-law, do all the things. Get me the engagement. Cheers. Bye.